The Transformers Slag live stream for tonight on Saturday will be postponed to tomorrow. Got super busy with a bunch of stuff. But that's not the only piece of bad news tonight. It seems that it has just been reported from the Twitter account of his family. Fred Willard, the voice actor for Animated Swindle, has passed away due to natural causes at the age of 86. The actual date for his passing was that of May 15th, so that was yesterday. And it's a shame because he was one of the more enjoyable characters in Transformers Animated, despite the fact that he had a limited role in it. The actor of Fred Willard, it's kind of funny because what I know of him personally is I know him more, oddly enough, more than anything, for his appearances in Anchorman and playing Phil Dunphy's father, Frank Dunphy, in Modern Family. That's what I know him for more than anything, which is kind of sad. But when I started to look into his history, what's crazy is this guy has probably been on every single 90s sitcom ever. Like, it's crazy how he's been at least in one episode of everything from Roseanne, Friends, Murphy Brown. I mean, you name a 90s sitcom, he was probably there. And even when it comes to something like even Modern Family, he's only been in 13 episodes, which was crazy considering that I felt like he's been in so much more. Maybe it's just how much of an impact he had as a person on me in the show. But really cool guy. And in Transformers Animated, according to Derek Wyatt, Fred Willard was instructed to play up Swindle, to play up him as a caricature of Ron Popeil. And for people who aren't familiar with Ron Popeil, if you were like a 90s kid watching Saturday morning cartoons, you know exactly who Mr. Ron Popeil, and more specifically the Ronco infomercials, are. Essentially what they were is usually after your Saturday morning cartoons ran its course and 12 o'clock, 1 p.m. started to roll around, so would roll out the infomercials. And Ron Popeil, specifically Ronco, was famous for the Chop-O-Matic hand chopper, the food dehydrator, and the one that I'm most familiar with, and I'm pretty sure people are familiar with this one, the Showtime barbecue rotisserie, the AKA Set It and Forget It. I remember that over and over. So Fred Willard was told to kind of play up that, you know, Ron Popeil, used car salesman, infomercial salesman kind of thing where it's like, you know, and there's more. So that was kind of where that character was pulling from and Fred was doing. But yeah, it's such a shame because he has such a huge plethora of work that he's done from the 60s up until today. And there's not really anything that's like a real crazy standout breakout role, at least personally for me. Maybe I'm forgetting something. Please comment below if you could think of something that really outside of Anchorman and Modern Family in my case. But what's interesting is that even though he's passed away, there is some stuff that he's filmed that's going to be debuting soon. And it's something very fascinating because Fred, back in the 70s, filmed a pilot for a show called Space Force. This was, you know, coming off of the heels of the popularity of Star Trek and Star Wars. Space Force ended up not getting anything past the pilot. Apparently it wasn't picked. I think it was ABC was supposed to pick it up and they just didn't like it. And now, all these years later, they filmed a brand new comedy science fiction Space Force TV series. I believe it's 13 episodes have been recorded thus far, and he's in it. All those years later, Space Force finally, what is it now, like almost like 50 years later, Space Force is finally getting a TV series after the pilot failed all the way back in the 70s. So that's at least a good, solid, positive note to look at this. And so even though he's passed away, the episodes will be coming out in late 2020, and you'll be able to see his last appearance in anything of television and or movies. So that's kind of cool, at least, that one of his projects that never happened finally did get to happen in the end. And it's kind of, I don't know if it has something to do with maybe the Donald Trump Space Force. I don't know. I just find it funny that name is coming up now after all these years. But yeah, this is This is some sad news, but it's funny whenever I talk about comedians that pass away, there's almost no sadness in that, because when you talk about them, all you think about is the funny stuff. And he was one of those really humbling, funny characters. And I mean, when you think about even comedy characters in animated, you can't leave out Swindle. And that's an awesome Swindle, by the way. That was like a Derek Wyatt brainchild. Derek Wyatt's favorite character is Swindle in all of Transformers. So Swindle being an animated, being that standalone character, and Fred Willard voicing him was just a treat in itself. So rest in peace, Fred. You did some incredible stuff, especially Modern Family. That's what I'll always know you for more than anything. And let's just not set it and forget it, I guess.